Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Code, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbonneau, and with me is my co-host, John Bristow. How are you doing, John?
Great, great.
We've
Kind of a
got a
short one.
very short but informed show today. We're going to talk about the latest things that are happening in developer land. I'm going to start off with a little front-end news. We got CSS custom functions coming to the browser. I've been saying for a while now that
Get ready.
CSS is becoming a full programming language, that the whole debate of whether CSS is a programming language is over.
God help us.
And yeah, that's because it has been for a long time with Sass, but some of the Sass functionality is starting to bleed its way into CSS. And we have an at function method that is coming to CSS, and this lets you do functions, and if statements and branching and all of that are coming along with it. And this blog post talks about some features that were enabled in the Canary release of Chrome, and you can see it works pretty much like a mixin does in Sass. You declare function, name it, set up some parameters and arguments, and then pass back a result. It can be a value, it can be a set of styles, similar to a mixin. And again, you can plop if statements in there as well. So at the very bottom of this post, he writes that if you throw an if statement in there, you can recreate the color scheme function that already exists in CSS. So there's going to be more than one way to skin a cat pretty soon. But that's going to bring a lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
Still won't help you center a div.
No.
Sorry.
But it will allow you to possibly drop Sass in the future, which I'm still I still like Sass, but I want to see those things disappear. The less tool chain that you have in your pipelines, the better. And if you could do stuff with just the browser and start dropping some of these plugins out of your JavaScript pipelines to get things deployed, makes things a lot easier.
Yep.
So it looks like we got some .NET MAUI performance improvements in .NET 9, John.
Yeah, so .NET 9 obviously introduces for MAUI a number of significant performance enhancements. These are specifically focused on application size reduction and improved startup times. So full trimming, support for native IoT, awesome stuff. So for full trimming, there's now a option you specify in your project file, and what it does is basically any unnecessary code you have in during the build process, what it will do is just trim that out, and ultimately that makes for smaller application sizes, which is cool. Native AOT, of course, being able to utilize the new runtime, compiles applications directly in native code. So native AOT supported iOS, Mac Catalyst, if I remember correctly, and of course Windows.
Pretty much everything but Linux.
There you go.
I think Linux is the only thing MAUI doesn't support. I think there's like a not an open source branch, but there's I guess maybe it is a branch of the project that somebody's gotten Linux working, but it's not official. So
okay,
it's at least being looked at by the community, and maybe that'll get pulled into the main framework. Microsoft,
3 people that use it.
You mean every server ever, John?
Servers, yes. Clients.
Microsoft.testing.platform, now supported by all major .NET test frameworks. This is like the reimagining, rebuilding, and replatforming of the MS test, right?
Yeah, so there's this is something that was posted by the team just I think it was a few weeks ago, actually. Now it seems like I archived this a while ago, and I was kind of struggling to remember what this was. So basically now what we have is the ability for running what is it, I should look at your screen, Microsoft.testing.platform as part of what happened here was that this was their lightweight and portable testing platform, if I remember correctly. I haven't used this yet, but it's been adopted by all the major .NET test frameworks. And so if you're using MS Test, NUnit, TUnit, XUnit, Expecto, whatever, the platform basically has been designed to integrate with this. So what we like to call modularity. So that's now available, and it's supported through all the major test networks, which is frameworks rather, which is awesome.
And I think MS Tests is like the old school way to do tests, and it kind of got a bad rap for like performance and whatnot. And all these other frameworks came along: XUnit, NUnit, XUnit, TUnit, all of the above, and Microsoft eventually just started replatforming the MS Test stuff on top of this new Microsoft testing platform. So it's faster, better, stronger, and now it's adopted by everyone.
Yes.
Front End Fire podcast. This is a good show. What's this one about, John? Oh wait, no, this was this my share or yours? Oh, this is my share.
Yes.
This is actually my share. I forgot because we took a pause last week. This is a podcast that friend of ours actually, TJ Vansel, is part of.
Nice.
And I just wanted to give them a shout out because they put on a good show over at
I
Front End Fire.
used to pick on TJ because he was the youngest looking person at Progress. I called him, what was the teenage sensation?
Yeah.
Sorry, TJ. I love TJ. He's great.
Yeah, he's over there working at BlueStacks. What's it called? The AOT, or not AOT, IoT company. But he still does the Front End Fire podcast. And again, they put on a good podcast this week. They were talking about OpenAI and AI tools and deep research and whatnot. So jump on Front End Fire, give them a listen. They also have a video podcast as well that's on YouTube. So make sure you check them out. If this show isn't enough news for you, there's always Front End Fire as well. Last week, or the week, last show, John, we talked about AI tools.
Yes.
And I named off like a billion of them. And LangChain was a big one for the JavaScript and Python community. So I went out searching to see what else was in .NET land. And it looks like there is a C# implementation of LangChain where they try to be at parity with the APIs of LangChain. So this one is langchain.net. So if you want to try that out, is at tryagi langchain.net on GitHub. So this is similar in regards to semantic kernel. There's some nice samples on the homepage for you if you want to give that a shot. This one is yours, John. How GitHub uses CodeQL to secure GitHub?
Yeah, so I've been a long time advocate of CodeQL. We use it extensively for static code analysis for our GitHub repos. If you're not aware, it's basically a static analysis engine. You can integrate it very easily within your GitHub Actions. And it's basically a good way of just doing some prescriptive guidance on your code before shipping to production. So this is a post from the product security engineering team. Talks about how they leverage CodeQL. I'm always a fan of these sort of real world examples. And so what they did was they articulated, they wrote this blog post on how they utilize CodeQL across a 10,000 repos. And so they used the default setup for CodeQL. They just set up with very easily. It's easy. You just go up to the marketplace and integrate it. And then they utilized a new feature which we talked about here, which is custom query packs. Those are for more complex repositories where we have special rules, etc. They have a large Ruby repository that they use this on. And so they utilized some custom query packs there for their security needs. And then in addition to that, they used their what's called, it's a really cool sounding name, the multi-repository variant analysis, or MRVA. And that basically allows your team to conduct variant analysis across multiple repositories. So it allows you to basically identify insecure coding patterns and potential vulnerabilities that may be widespread. And so by doing this, they were able to mitigate a lot of potential issues in their code, which is awesome. If you're not using CodeQL, I would highly recommend you do so. I'm a huge fan of these sort of tools as part of your build pipeline.
It's nice to see Ruby again. Haven't seen Ruby talked about in
Oh,
a
jeez,
little
come
while.
on. Come on,
No, I
man.
mean that in a good way. Like Ruby on Rails used to be like all the rage, but Ruby's actually a great language. Whether you like Rails or not, I think Ruby's a
Yeah.
great language. So nice to see that mentioned there. These next few links are a little self-serving, but we have a short show today, so we better get to it, John. We have a brand new release of the Telerik UI components
Hooray.
and Kendo UI components. There is a lot of stuff going on here.
New charts. Sorry.
No, we actually expanded our portfolio into these design templates as well. So there's it says 12, but I think we actually have 13 now. That might be a typo. There are these building blocks, and we released this brand new AI monitoring building block or sample page. So basically, you get the Telerik UI components, and then you can add this on. Just download this whole thing with all of the panels and widgets and knobs and things, and you have a design out of the box ready to go. And it's
very
for
Grafana-y. Sorry, Grafana-y.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's for Angular, React, and Blazor. So if you're not a super designer, you're more of a back end person getting in the front end, that type of thing, and you need some design things done quickly, you can just jump right in and grab these and use them. Or if you're working close with your design team, there's ways to do that as well. So there's the AI usage monitor. That's one of the big ones for that part. We've updated our chat UI component so it integrates tightly with Microsoft's AI extensions library. And then, like you said, there's new charts, new graphs, new grids, those type of things were added to this release as well. Nice. So there's a lot of AI stuff being added to the libraries these days, which is cool to see.
Yep.
And then I myself have published a course with DomeTrain. So this course comes from me speaking at conferences and talking to .NET developers, and I'll talk about how people are handling null and C#, and it's like how many of you guys are turning off the nullable feature, like nullable disable in your project to squash all the warnings? And like surprisingly enough, when I give these sessions at conferences, it's like almost like 40-50% of the audience is turning them off completely.
Really?
Yeah, they're just like totally dumping it. It's like, you update your project and you've got like 500.
Are we really that lazy? My God.
Yeah, I mean, when you turn this thing on, any nullable possibility in your project and every variable that is a reference type immediately gets turned into a non-nullable reference type. So it just throws hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of warnings into your logs when you're compiling.
Yeah.
And people just go in and just say, and they turn it right off.
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid. You should definitely have it enabled.
It's something that you should enable, especially on new projects. But what I found is like people are porting old code, and it doesn't have to be like super old. This is like a fairly recent feature since .NET 8. So if it's prior to .NET 8, people are bringing it up to C# 8, which is like .NET 3. So if you're bringing it up to .NET 8 and 9, you're running into all these warnings and people are just turning them off and ignoring it. And that's not the best thing to do. So I worked on this course that goes from I know nothing about null all the way to I have a full stack project, and I personally will walk you through it and show you all of the design decisions that were needed to make the nullable warnings go away. There's a lot of value in that last part of this. Because I show you how to use tools in Visual Studio to hunt down, traverse through the code and see how different objects are being used and methods are being used and what null implications can be made on different contexts. So, if you're talking about web APIs and serialization and how this happens to work with Entity Framework, because if you go enabling nullability, then your migrations change. It's a whole thing, and it scares people.
And I know
So
it scares people, but you have to know what it means. Null
you do.
matters. Yes.
And if you look, this is a full stack project. It's 3 projects in one solution. So it's front end, shared, back end. And it takes 2 hours to migrate this project. It takes 2 hours, and it's not a huge project.
I wonder why they don't turn it on there, Ed.
Yeah, it's not a huge project. So, I mean, it is work, but
Yes.
once it's done, it's done. And then once you start new projects, you don't have to worry about it anymore because you can build with these things in mind. So this goes through every detail of everything that I saw as a problem. So like I said, get, post, put, delete, null attributes, all sorts of stuff, how Razor components handle null, what happens when you call HTTP client, because it's a nullable object return, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be. It's a whole rant that I kind of go on in the course as well. Just like HTTP client, you call the endpoint, it returns a nullable object, even though it's rare that you actually ever would hit one. But it forces you to like deal with this imaginary null every time you use it, which is super annoying because it's like 99.99% of the time I'm never going to encounter it, but the API has to support it. So that's what you get back. So there's a sidebar in there, and yeah, give it a shot if you want to check it out. It is on Dome Train. There's a ton of awesome content on Dome Train right now. Amazing authors making amazing videos. So give mine a look, but give others a look too while you're there. And then finally, John, I know you've got a heart out here, so we're going to make this quick, but this is a very short episode of, where's my stinger at? Where's my stinger at? The build-ups.
The build-up.
Can it play Doom?
There you go.
Jeez, I could not find the button. Can it play Doom? Doom runs on an Apple Lightning to HDMI dongle with a system on a chip inside. It's enough to power smooth gameplay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So somebody took an Apple adapter from 2012.
Yeah.
And just that Apple adapter has more power than a PC from 1993.
Oh, come on. No, come on. That's not true. That is not true.
I don't know. That's what the headline says.
That is not true. Get out of here.
The dongle should be enough to run Doom, which requires a 386 processor from 4 gigs of RAM. But the Apple put a system on a chip inside the dongle because the USB protocol that is used for Lightning didn't have enough bandwidth to run the HDMI.
Fair enough. There's an interesting side note here, which is if you are curious at what's inside your components, dongles, I don't have one here. Anyways, if you take up, a standard battery or anything, there's a great YouTube channel where they take these devices and they put them through an MRI. And they've taken Apple hardware through there and stuff. And so those things do exist. There are system on chips. There are boards. There are things in there that you can run. So that's probably what they've done. They've just tackled this.
So it took 30 years, John, but probably more than that. If my math is right. But you can finally run Mac on a Doom, or Doom on a Mac. Finally. That's all I've got.
Nice.
That's all I've got this week.
We'll come back next week. You got to work on those buildups. Can it play Doom? People are expecting it instantly. So maybe we'll put that on. Maybe we'll put that on this adapter here, so it'll instantly play. Who knows?
I know, and the crowd goes mild, right?
Yes.
All right, John. I know you got to get going, so we'll catch everybody next week. Take care.